Yeah, no
sure.
problem.
Always happy to try. There were a few weeks where I kind of tried to cut back just to keep a happy home,
Yep.
but it's tough, man. And yeah, I was definitely excited when you reached out. So,
Yeah, I understand that. I'm trying to cut back for in season a little bit because I've been
yep.
sort of playing around with like 3 to 4 podcasts a week, and I'm just like, that's a.
I've
It is.
noticed you've been putting out a lot, dude.
Yeah, it gets a little bit too much though because I'm currently in school right now, and it gets to be a lot, especially
Yeah.
trying, like you said, sort of have like a life
Uh-huh.
outside of school and fantasy football and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's hard to get away too though. It's
I
tough.
hear you. Yeah. It's good to stay around too.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'll go ahead and start with the intro. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 25 of the Snake in the Draft podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Vines. You can find me on Twitter at jsnake_DFF. So before we get to the episode today, I wanted to let everybody know what you can expect from Snake in the Draft during the NFL season. So I'll have one episode released on Tuesday over Dynasty waiver wire ads, as well as Dynasty players to acquire or trade away, and then also some redraft players to add a week before they end up exploding in value. It'll also include some defenses as well. Also have an episode release on Saturday over listener questions. So thank you all again for your support, and let's get to the episode. So in this episode, I have Shane Swagger coming on the podcast. You should be following him on Twitter at Swagzilla0G. He's changed his Twitter handle a couple times. I actually really like this one. So he's the host of the Rookie
Yeah.
Fever podcast, the Superflex pod, and the Fantasy Football Breakdown. Today we're going to talk about some Dynasty trades and also a little bit of Superflex Dynasty strategy. So welcome, Shane. How are you doing?
Man, I am great. Thanks a ton for having me on. I'm very excited about this. So, yeah, I think we're going to stick with that Twitter handle. It's just easier. Um, I don't think I'd go anywhere even and change it. I just kind of had to pick one. So, if you are with a company, you're just that. So, not doing it again to you guys.
Sounds good. Yeah. What was it before? Just it was like swag something,
Man,
right?
so when I first got on Twitter, I was Swagzilla OG. And then I went to DFF and went DFF_swag. And then I came back to just kind of separated from DFF. And then at that point, wanted to go back to Swagzilla OG. And I'd kind of like saved that account in an old spot, like I think a few of us may do. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. But anyway, I got locked out of that account. So then I put the zero, the actual number zero, as my O. So I was still Swagzilla OG, but I used the zero. And then Eric Flynn caught it really quick, and he's like, well, it's a zero, it's not an O. And I'm like, no, it's an O. Like, that's how we're doing it. Like, and then Trader Joe, and I've told this story a few times, so I don't know if you heard it or not, but then Trader Joe ended up making this awesome thing and just kind of made a thing of it. And I was just like, dude, that's pretty sweet. I'm just doing that. Like, I don't know. And that's what's so awesome, dude. There's so many like great people out there that we're all constantly connecting with. And so, yeah. But yeah, Swagzilla OG.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I completely agree. Tons of great people on Twitter to talk to that you can just tag them and they'll chat with you about a trade. They'll spend 20, 30 minutes of their life sometimes and just try to help you out. So before we get too far into the podcast, there's one question I ask every guest, and that is, what is one hobby that you really enjoy doing that does not relate to fantasy football?
Man, so this is always a tough one because I don't feel like I have enough hobbies outside of this, but lately, so I finally kind of stopped being a stubborn dad and started playing Minecraft with the kids more when they're playing, just like, so it's something to do. They enjoy doing it. Man, this year's been weird for them, as far as like the things we can do and who they can get together with. So I started playing Minecraft with them, and for the first time last weekend, I played without them, like while they're sleeping and stuff, and they were so stoked. So man, I've been enjoying that, as weird as it sounds. I've never been a big video game person, but it's been kind of fun to play with them and see them get excited. And so I'm gonna go with that for now. It's been pretty fun, just something different. Have you ever
Yeah,
played that game?
I played it. Yeah, I like Minecraft. I played it growing up some in like high school and such, and it was
Yeah.
fun to play with my brothers. And yeah, I can't really get into those survival style games anymore. I know you can still do creative mode, but I can't quite get into those type of games like
Dude,
other.
I found the jungle, and my son was looking for the jungle forever, and I found it without him. And like, he woke up and I had like 3 parrots that I had tamed, and I was pretty proud. So
That's awesome.
got
I don't
so
remember
much
taming
iron.
animals.
Oh man, I don't know. I know there's a lot of updates and stuff, but yeah, I just gave him some seeds from the ground, and he's mine now. He flies with me. He lands on my shoulder. I got my son told me I got like 10 cool points just for that.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And with those games too, you can also like sort of continually build something, which is always a fun thing just to keep
Yeah,
adding on to something, especially like with your kids or stuff like that.
absolutely. So that's been
So
fun.
yeah, I love that. I used to play video games all the time. I stepped back and actually started doing more stuff with Twitter, so it's been a fun little change for me in the opposite way.
Yeah.
But video games still have a very firm place in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into Dynasty trades. And for anybody that hasn't talked to Swags before about trades or anything like that, he's definitely someone that is excellent to go to for trades. He's actually one of the first people I talked to on Twitter when I first joined about different trades that I was doing. And I looked back through some DMs and I was just like, oh man, I asked a ton of questions. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and start with.
That's awesome. You've came a long way quick, though. We were talking about that before we started here. And I wore my Trade Addict shirt just for the show. So
That's awesome.
Shout out to Russ and Brian.
Yeah, that all those types of podcasts I got into, like Rookie Fever's one that I listened to, and yeah, I'm actually wearing Scott Fishbowl shirt, a little throwback action right there. So
yeah, I love the Lego one. That's like
yeah,
the Lego logo.
I agree. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the 16-team trade, which 16-team is not the normal, but this is a 16-team Superflex PPR league, and it's Kirk Cousins, Kenyon Drake, Kenny Golladay, and Perrine for McCaffrey, Foles, and Cephas. So this one was interesting. It took me a little bit to figure out which side I'm going. So which side are you going to, Swags?
This is a tough one, man. There's a little bit of I don't like Nick Foles at all. It kind of taints that side a little bit for me. And to get Cousins and Galladay on the other side for McCaffrey seems like a pretty solid start, man. But I think you could do better selling McCaffrey, though, unless you really need a quarterback. I don't put myself in that situation too often. But but it is 16 teams. Okay, I have to slow down a little bit here. 16 teams. Man, the quarterback, the desperation at quarterback is so much different in a 16 team league than like the 10 or 12 teams. So man, that makes it tougher. I wish, man, it's so tough. I have Finero in my head saying nothing is in a vacuum. Man, I'm going to assume that 16 team really needs a quarterback, and they've put themselves in this situation where like they have to take this Cousins and Galladay trade. You might be able to do a little bit better somewhere. I don't know if you have running back depth. I'm not a huge Drake guy. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Drake either, Jacob. So I don't feel like we're getting a great running back in return, but you're getting a wide receiver, a great wide receiver, and a decent, viable quarterback. I think in a 16 team, you have to take the Cousins and Galladay side. And then LaMichael P. Ryan at the end. I mean, he could like become something, if Bell goes down, or it's an interesting situation though too, because you can feel that the Jets are kind of looking for a running back. So I don't know how they feel about P. Ryan right now, but I don't mind him either. You might have like a decent pass catching back out of him at some point that could take the load if Bell goes down. I think we have to take that side. It hurts so much.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the Cousins, Drake, and Galladay side. I'm not the hugest Drake fan. I currently have him at RB20 in my own Superflex. Well, it's just Dynasty ranking, so that may be something I check out again because I do have him above Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon's someone I'm starting to grow on because I keep thinking too much 2020, and like beyond 2020, Melvin Gordon could be in a good spot.
Yeah,
So,
he's getting older though. Like he came out in that same draft as Todd Gurley, but I think he's like 27 now or right around there. I mean, he's an older running back. So I agree. I'd rather have Melvin Gordon than Drake, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I agree. Cousins, the 16-team Superflex, that's a big selling point for me, getting Kirk Cousins, who's mostly slept on in any Superflex league. Kenyon Drake, Kenny Golladay. I do agree it does hurt to trade away McCaffrey, and it does feel like you could get like a 2021 first added instead of Perrine, but it also does depend on how many starting spots, which we didn't get that info with the trade because
but
if
that
it's
16 team, just I mean, if every team has 2 quarterbacks, that's all of them. And there's probably somebody that has a few. Like, I don't want to waste a ton of time on it, but I almost want to scold the person a little bit because of the situation they put themselves in to need to make this trade. But I think that you do. It's just one of those things where you have to move on, and you might not be able to sell Foles ever again.
Yeah, Foles is someone that I think he'll have a role in
Mm-hmm.
2020, but beyond that, it gets iffy for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the next trade, which this one is even more funky. This is a 96 team, but it's 4-copy league. So it's like a 24 team league. So think just a little bit bigger than 16. It's not Superflex. You don't have to think about the quarterback scarcity, but it
Sure.
is
But there is some with 24 teams.
that is a good point. So full PPR, 0.25 points per carry, and tight end
But there's no
premium.
quarterbacks. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. So yeah, full PPR, 0.25 point per carry, and tight end premium. It's Dalvin Cook, Anthony Miller, and Traquan Smith for Josh Jacobs and Chark. This one was super tough for me. I ended up going more towards the running back scarcity, and I still sided with Dalvin Cook, even though I like Chark a lot. So I went with Cook's side.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's tough, and I kind of like Anthony Miller, and we've heard a little bit of noise about Traquan Smith. So I have so many shares of him that I held on to too long. We'll see what happens, but man, I believe in Shark a lot more than Anthony Miller, and I believe in Jacobs to give me the most important thing, which is the opportunity and availability, should I say, over Dalvin Cook at this point. I think that it just feels a little safer to me. I've kind of faded Dalvin Cook. I don't have any shares. I think 32 leagues, but I would give you Dalvin Cook for Shark and Jacobs. And the other two don't. I would overpay. I'm willing to have Anthony Miller or Traquan Smith in this deal if it gets this deal done for me. I think Jacobs and Shark is kind of enough to get Dalvin Cook though, or for the Dalvin Cook owner. I don't even think he should have to add Anthony Miller and Traquan Smith, to be quite honest with you. But I would do this Jacobs and Shark deal.
Yeah, and one thing that I actually completely didn't put into my own thought is the 0.25 point per carry, which does jump up Jacobs into where he gets a little bit more valuable. And yeah, that's a great point about how Jacobs and Chark is that safer side. And Chark may be seeing in 2021 a huge upgrade in quarterback potentially. I know you're a big Gardner Minshew fan. I know you like him, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But either way,
Yeah,
I think
getting worried.
Yeah, if Minshew ends up producing, great quarterback for Chark then. If he doesn't, then they get a better quarterback in probably one of the top end guys. So yeah, I think that's a good point. So we're going to go it's the same league, another trade. And again, it's a 4-copy league with 96 teams. So it's like 24 team league. And it's Juju for Ertz and Justin Jefferson. It's also tight end premium. So for this, the tight end premium side's the part that made me want to get Ertz and Jefferson. I know Justin Jefferson hasn't had the best offseason or the best training camp, but I still think he has a chance to be a really good player, especially once Adam Thielen's gone. And so I'm leaning with that tight end and that high end rookie side.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I really am. I think that even with today's news that there might be some contract situation that's they're not quite gonna seal the deal on that contract. But I feel like in this scoring format and 24 teams and that scarcity, I feel like Ertz and Juju are pretty close, actually. Is that crazy?
No, that's not crazy at all to me. I love Ertz.
So then to have Jefferson just to kind of be that little piece that puts it all together. I mean, and I'm a big Justin Jefferson guy. I think that he'll end up being fine in the NFL, and it should take some of these guys some time. I mean, shoot, even Juju had a bad year last year. But yeah, I'm taking this Ertz and Jefferson side.
Nice. Yeah, that's the one thing everybody's forgetting. It's even with all these rookies, I guess running backs you should have them hit, especially the top 4 or 5 should hit this year. But yeah, anybody else receiver wise, just be patient. Don't end up panicking. If Jalen Reagor ends up having to where that shoulder becomes more of an issue than we think, do not panic. If anything, buy him up. Buy him up everywhere.
It's so hard though, because I think that everybody we're involved with, we know so well to just preach what you just preached, like um myself included. But then when it comes time for us to be patient, or when we get a little bit concerned, even the best of us seem to like not be able to wait long enough, and we'll make these silly moves. Or I mean, even like these last few days, like you could have had Leonard Fournette for a second, and we all decided to be worried and jump to conclusions instead of making the proper moves that we always talk about. We always know, like, you see Hunt's value go down and it goes back up. I mean, think about the Tyreek Hill values that were being given out a year ago this time, or the Zeke values that were being given out like 2 or 3 years ago. Like this, we always go through these motions, and while the price drops might have not have been as similar as those Fournette ones, but we know damn well, like, unfortunately, if even if Darius Geis is guilty, he's probably going to play football again. And there's a lot of dirty players in the NFL that we've already forgotten about what they did, and we're okay. Like, we're okay with Hunt. We're okay selling the idea of Hunt to people at this point because the air is cleared. Um, and that doesn't make him a better person than he was when that incident happened. But in the game of fantasy and what we're playing, like, Geis is going to, at some point, if he has any talent and if he can stay healthy, he's going to be on another NFL team. I don't know. Maybe Geis is a bad example, but Fournette, like, man, I know I could have had him for a second in some leagues, and I didn't throw out one of those offers. I didn't even try.
Yeah, I think I'm done with guys in the sense that I don't see him getting on a team again, but there's always, like you said, there's always that chance because we've seen it with players. Like Kareem Hunt is a great example of
Yeah.
a player that a lot of people, after like the Ray Rice incident, like that, you were thinking, okay, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
more of the same type of idea. And then with Darius Geis, I think the allegations are more severe than what happened with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And so that may knock him, but at the same time, switching more towards that Leonard Fournette idea, he's been someone that I've been all over acquiring in Dynasty before he was released. And then once he was released, I also was panicking, especially once he cleared waivers and then it was a day.
Sure.
And
Sure.
then, yeah, once it hit that second day, I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody to go pick him up anywhere because, like, what if he just
Oh yeah, I
sits?
agree with that. Yeah. But
So
I can't just like drop my Geis shares yet or anything like that, to be honest with you.
I went ahead and just bit the bullet and did it everywhere, and it was really sad because there was two teams that I was doing a productive struggle that I drafted this offseason, and he was
Mm-hmm.
my running back one that I expected to increase in value, and I decided,
Yeah, I was
bite
with
the
you,
bullet.
man.
Yeah.
I was with you. One league I was in, somebody dropped him and nobody picked him up. Not even me with this talk here. Like, yeah, nobody picked him up. I'm guessing he stays there. At some point, if he does sign, somebody will probably grab him. I mean, that's the name of the game, you know. I have no hard feelings. Like, there's going to be players that if they have an opportunity to be in this game, they're a piece to it, and somebody else is going to use them against you. And I don't know.
No, yeah, I agree. I think if he ends up on a team again, I'm fine picking him up. But yeah, I dropped him in 3 or 4 leagues, and yeah, he's still just chilling on waivers. So
Yeah.
yeah, he may be one of those guys that in the offseason's a hot topic dude, but at the same time, he also has that injury history. So it does
Well,
get a little.
and his first day of court didn't sound great. Like, it was just kind of talking about it and admitting his anger issues and how Washington knew about them, and like a little bit of self admittal. So I mean, the guilt sounds like it's there. It sounds like the guy, for the fun spirit that we saw on that side of it, doesn't sound like he's a awesome dude at all.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get
So
to our next trade. And this is a trade that I'm almost 100% certain I know which side you're going to go on. And it's a 12-team Superflex PPR, and it's Paris Campbell for Dwayne Haskins. So where are you going?
this is an easy Haskins.
Yep.
This is like something Shane and I could talk about on trash trades.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those things that it's so easy on the Haskins side. Like, I do have some concerns for
Yeah.
Haskins' longevity, but at the same time, you get a quarterback that you can put in your lineup, or maybe you trade away Haskins and a higher end wide receiver for someone like a Jared Goff who's being slept on in a lot of leagues and have
Hmm.
another upgrade.
I'm trying to think of like a wide receiver, like the wide receiver level it has to be for me to make this move. But Paris Campbell just isn't it. I want somebody that has hit a little bit more, and I know I
N'Keal
can't
Harry?
get like N'Keal Harry though, man. That I have concerns there too. I would do like maybe Paris Campbell and N'Keal Harry. Uh, I don't know for a starting quarterback, and yeah, I can't do it. Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be somebody that I really like a lot, and it might not even be achievable. It'd have to be like Justin Jefferson, who I like a lot more than Paris Campbell. Maybe I'm off on that. Like somebody a little fresher, somebody I haven't seen fail in the NFL yet, whether it's injury or skill set. Um, I don't think you could get CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Judy, but yeah, I need. I don't know. I'm not a Paris Campbell guy. The feverish Finero is. If he's listening now, he's like ah. But this is Haskins for me. You got to give him a little bit longer. I know that he fell in the draft last year, and he was drafted like was it 15th or 16th overall. But yeah, I think Haskins will be the guy there for this year. You can get a better return on this. Wait till somebody's a little bit desperate.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's go and move on to the next one. This is also a 12-team Superflex PPR trade, and it's Foles and Trubisky, Devontae Parker, and a 2021 first for Goff, N'Keal Harry, Waring, and a 2021 second. So this trade hurt me a lot because I look at it and like I really like Goff and Superflex like a lot. I think he's undervalued, but this is like paying max value for everybody on his side. So I have to go with the Foles, Trubisky, Devontae Parker in 2021 first side, even though you have that risk of Foles, Trubisky, but you at least know you have a starting quarterback in 2020. And I could see at least one of these guys being a starter in 2021. And then Parker just got a new contract, and I love getting that 2021 first.
Yeah. This is a tough one. This is a close one for me. And I definitely like I'm having a hard time this year parting with my 2021 firsts on any draft I did. Like normally if I do a startup even I like to trade my firsts away, but all the drafts I started doing like post COVID and the later drafts, I started to just want to hang on to my first a little bit more. I started to get really jealous of like the rookie drafts that I was in when I didn't have any picks. I feel like they are such a huge part of like your rebuild process sometimes. So the first to be there is nice. I mean, I've been, some people have been like kind of talking about them and trading first for pieces that I don't really like, and I kind of make points, like what if would you do it if it was Dobbins instead of the first? And they're like, well, hell no, I like Dobbins. And you're like, well, that's the kind of player maybe you can get in next year's draft if you just be patient and hang on to it. And if all of a sudden your first is a 102, because it happens sometimes, guys, if all of a sudden your first turns into a 102 and somebody's drafting a quarterback there, and so yeah, the first is so appealing. I'm not a huge Parker guy. You're right about Mitch and Foles here. Like you get a starting quarterback even if they're going back and forth all year. Man, this is a really long answer. Goff, I think, is so slept on. It's a tough one, man. I feel better with Goff than Foles, and man, I'm taking Goff and N'Keal Harry. But I mean, I'm honestly so on the fence because you also have the possibility of that 2021 second turning into like 201 or 202 while maybe your first is a 111 or a 112. You just never know. I think yeah, I'm taking the Goff and Harry side.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can definitely see how that is a nice side to get, especially in Superflex, where I know you're a big proponent of get that quarterback all solved and not have to worry about it. So yeah, that Goff side provides more stability. He's someone that I've been trying to get on more teams than I have had before because he's produced as QB 13 or better, pretty much a QB 1 all of the years he's been in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, I think not year 1, but all the rest of them he has. So
Yep.
yeah, and then like Foles, Trubisky, you don't know what's going to happen there. It's the Bears. Devontae Parker is somebody that I think this year, if he plays well, his value will maintain and feel more like stable.
Sure.
And then yeah, that 2021 first, that's the real key part that makes it tough.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're going to do a rapid fire because we have 3 trades sent from the same person. They include a couple of different players, but I just want to have your quick reaction on who you want in each trade. So All of these are 16-team Superflex PPR 0.2 point per carry league, and it's Cam Newton for Rivers and a 2021 third.
Oh man, I'm taking Newton. This is a great one for today because they finally announced that Cam Newton is a starter, so I feel a little bit better. Phillip Rivers is old. I don't have a lot of trust in him. I'm going Cam Newton.
Sweet. So the next one's Phillip Rivers for a 2021 first.
Definitely the first.
Agreed. 2021 first and 2021 third for Cam Newton.
Oh, it's a little tougher, man, but this one's really tough. I don't like this one because I don't know. Cam Newton is in a weird part of his career where if he doesn't succeed or if he has one more injury this year, I think it's done. But I think this one I'm taking Cam Newton. Newton. Where were you with all these?
So I was exactly the same as you. Cam Newton, 2021 first, then Cam Newton again, because I think that 2021 first loses just a little bit of value just because it's a 16-team league. It's not a ton loss because it could also be a 1.02.
That's a good point for sure.
Yeah, so this was interesting because they all like interrelated, and I had to like get clarification. I was like, "What are you showing me right now?"
And I mean, to your point there, like you're also making that even the one you're giving Phillip Rivers to, if he has a full season, you're also making that team a little bit better. So your first is going to get a little bit later.
Yeah, that is a great point. I agree. So this next trade is one that I don't think the person that sent it in is going to be too happy with our response, but this is a 12-team Superflex PPR trade, start 12. And this person traded away A.J. Brown for Higgins, Ruggs, and a 2021 second. And his comment on it was, it's an orphan with no depth or picks. So for me, I go A.J. Brown pretty easily just because he's the player, and I think you can get more in a 12-team Superflex, more than a Higgins, Ruggs, and a 2021 second. Like, I want someone that is proven plus a 2021 first. Like, you can get Justin Jefferson and a 2021 first for A.J. Brown.
Yeah, he should have been a little bit more patient. I love that he was aware of his needs, though, because a lot of people have a hard time doing that when they have, like, a stud they really like. They want to build around A.J. Brown or you want to build around Barkley, but there are those times when you have to realize that in order for this rebuild to happen, you need to cut bait on some guys. I think that he just sold a little low on A.J. Brown, or maybe he's really high on Higgins and Ruggs. I don't know, but I'm with you. I think that you could have done a lot better just kind of treading water for a minute and seeing what happens with A.J. Brown. He's a hot commodity even today.
He is. I made a spicy trade with Shane in a league that we're both in, and it was like I traded him away. I traded away Devontae Adams and Marvin Jones for A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, and then Shane came back and said, "I want A.J. Brown back on my team," and so then I was just like, "Well, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm in a rebuild.
Right,
I'll keep him." And so he kept offering more and more and more to where I think it was like 2020 first. And then like a 2021 first and a 2021 second or something. Wow. Maybe that's a little much. I think it was, let me backtrack. Probably 2020 first and then like a 2021 second. But it was like the 1.0. Yeah, it was definitely a good haul for me. But I also understand if Shane wants someone, he's going to come get
it. Yep.
So, yeah, I like your point also with how it's important to stay patient, but also realize when it's time to cut bait, because you're completely correct that a lot of people have two studs. Like if you have like Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown, you're like, oh, I'm going to build around him. And if you have no depth, and even if you have your picks, but you have no depth, you have to blow it up and try to get those assets that are going to increase in value. Because if you don't, you're going to be the 10th seed for the rest of your time in Dynasty.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So with the next trade, this one was really, 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 really hard to me. So it was a 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium league. Both people are contenders, and it's Tua Mixon. This was sent pre-signing, and Mecole Hardman for Aaron Rodgers and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So for me, even so after the signing, pretty easily the Mixon side. But even thinking about it pre-signing, I would still side with the Mixon side because if you have enough quarterback depth to where Tua can sort of sit there as your QB, hopefully 4, maybe if you get Fitzpatrick, that's great because Tua to me is above Aaron Rodgers by a good amount. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Mixon are closer than those two. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to me is still above Mixon. I know that's a hot topic to a lot of people. And then Mecole Hardman is that just extra cherry on top to me. So yeah, I'm the Tua Mixon side.
I am the Tua Mixon side as well. But for me, I have Mixon over CEH. And Tua and Aaron Rodgers end up being close. Like probably Aaron Rodgers over Tua a little bit. But with the age and everything, they're probably pretty damn close.
Yeah, I know ADP has Tua quite a bit above Aaron Rodgers, but then we have people like John Hogue maintaining his ADP a little bit higher for sure.
Yep. He's softened his stance a little bit, but he is still our Aaron Rodgers guy.
I know, it's so
and then
funny.
You get Mecole Hardman for free.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, John cracks me up whenever he gets on an Aaron Rodgers debate because everybody will just tag him on stuff that's Aaron Rodgers, and he just has to hop in there and argue for 30 minutes.
He's got to own
5 hours. Yeah.
Yep.
So these next two trades are from your co-host of Rookie Fever, Feverish Fernero.
Feverish Fernero.
Yeah, he sent in a couple of trades. So 12-team, 1 QB, and it's a non-PPR league start 8. And the first trade was DJ Chark for A.J. Dillon, 2021 first and 2021 third. Mm-hmm. So this first one to me, because it's a start 8, is the Chark side, because you're getting A.J. Dillon to me is a nice piece for in the future. 2021 first is always a nice piece, but it's pretty much like 3 dimes for like $1 or something like that, 3 quarters for $1 with that Chark side.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chark side as well. I think I remember him doing this one, and I've already answered this, Fernero. Taking the Chark side.
We'll say that he wanted my input on it. That's what we'll say.
He thought we needed content.
Hey, I appreciate it. So the next one is Tyreek Hill for Juju, Preston Williams, and Joe Burrow. And this is a 1 QB league. So to me, I'm going to take the stud in Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. I like Preston a lot. I'm taking Burrow's side.
Do you know which side he was on, Feverish Fernero?
It's one quarterback.
Yeah.
Threw me off. I need to pay attention. So yeah, I'll probably be taking the Tyreek side. He's so up and down though. Like I could see Juju. I'm taking the Juju and Preston and Joe Burrow side. I'm sorry. I'm wishy-washy as hell, but I think in the end, like I kind of like splitting the top stocks on Tyreek Hill there and getting Preston Williams and Juju.
Yeah,
and if it was Juju and Metcalf, would you do it?
Yeah, if it was Juju and Metcalf, well, if I needed a QB and it was Juju Metcalf, yes.
This is my Preston Williams sales pitch. I start with Metcalf, but then I want to remind you like that Preston Williams was ahead of the Metcalf pace before the injury. Just a little bit, but I mean, they were pacing it out. Like Preston Williams, before he went down, had made the top 12 rookies, not players, but top 12 or positional, but top 12 rookies more times than anybody at that point, if I remember correctly. Preston Williams like had a hell of a pace going for where he was taken last year. I don't know. Yeah, I'm taking the Preston and Juju. I'm a big Preston guy. Yeah, and I'm not saying Preston and DK have the same value or they're going to have the same outcome or they're the same player, but if he would have had a full season, I think we'd like Preston a lot more.
I agree. Honestly, seeing that end of season finish for a lot of people is what will drive some value instead of looking at that point per game, which I will say Preston and even Devontae Parker, if you get rid of their first like 3 or 4 games, then that helps their point per game by a lot. Because Rosen was not helping either of them.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm getting 3 players that I think I'd enjoy owning a little bit more than Tyreek Hill. And I think Tyreek Hill is going to still like ball out everything. I mean, I really do. But yeah, I'm taking the 3 players split here. And I'm probably trying to move on from Joe Burrow in this 1 quarterback league right now while he's still a rookie and getting that hype because it's a 1 quarterback league. You don't really need to care about Joe Burrow, but you could probably get something back.
Yeah, I love that idea of making that move for the quarterback. So these next two trades actually happen in a league today. And the first one I think is an interesting trade with camp news. And then the second one to me is not a good trade personally. But the first one, 12-team tiered PPR Superflex league. So it does have a little bit tight end premium. It doesn't necessarily relate to either of these trades, but it's a 21 seconds and a 2022 third for Le'Veon Bell. So Le'Veon Bell has just been getting destroyed from camp news. It's not been looking great for him there. I still have him in a decent amount of leagues, actually. And I'm still thinking he can have a good season as an RB2. So I still side with the Bell side. But if someone is going in more of like a rebuild, which I don't believe this team was, maybe it is. I haven't looked super closely, but this trade to me still seems a little bit on the cheaper side than what I'd want to move for Bell.
Yeah, but nobody's giving you a first.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I mean, you might want one, but nobody's giving it to you.
Yeah, it's true. I just feel like for me, I would be the stubborn owner that I would just be super stubborn and just want to hold on and just wait it out because I mean it is Adam Gase, which does make everybody nervous. So
And to be clear, like I'm not too concerned about Bell this year. I kind of like him in redraft, and um, this deal is really pretty fair though, because like I said, I'm not giving you a first. I want more than a second. So man, what's better than 2 seconds? If and you know what I mean from that standpoint, and potentially, I hate to do this again, but I mean that could have been like maybe Zach Moss and AJ Dillon over Bell. That doesn't sound like quite enough when I say it that way. It could have been Brian Edwards and Zach Moss. But it's still when I say it that way, it doesn't sound as good. It almost pushes me to your side more.
I
I
think
want to
that
sell Bell, dude. I guess is what I'm getting at.
I can understand it. I've debated in a couple leagues, but one of mine is contender and just going for the all win, and then probably having to rebuild after that because I completely botched my 14-team dynasty draft. Like
Yeah.
it was awful. But I can see the point, especially I think if you're a contender, you hold Bell in this type of trade. But if you're in a rebuild, sure, make the trade.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I just wonder what's going to happen. I do. I think I'm with you though. You know, even when I kind of threw those scenarios out, that was my idea to originally sell you on it. But then once I said the players, I'm like, yeah, but it's still kind of Bell. Like, and I like Zach Moss a ton. I do. Like, he's one of my guys. But I think even when I put the names out like that, still. But Brian Edwards. But I mean, that's not the reality of this. You know, you don't know what picks you're going to actually get there. But if it was Brian Edwards and Zach Moss, I'd do that for Bell.
Yeah, I agree. And I think doing what you're doing with putting players' names, like not necessarily the top tier guys. So even if it was like Denzel Mims and Zach Moss, I think that's pretty equal value for Le'Veon Bell. And Mims isn't that hot topic, dude, because he's been hurt. But that is a good thing because we were having a discussion on Twitter the other day and you did that. And I was thinking about it and I was like, that's actually a good way because that made me not be so strong. It was like, oh, well, that's actually a pretty close trade.
Yeah.
But I still lean this way versus the other.
Sure. But I think it pushed me back to the seconds, and I'm going to assume that if I'm making this deal, I have enough running back depth, or I'm in a weird rebuild situation. It's a huge assumption, but I'm going to take the seconds. But it's not bad. I mean, you could tell from the way Jacob and I just went back and forth that I was a little wishy-washy. He was kind of, you know what I mean? It's not a bad deal. Like he said, you know, if you're out of contention or something like that. So we totally get it, but. Yeah, I'm taking the seconds.
Sweet. So this next trade to me, I don't expect either of us to be wishy-washy. It's a 12-team tiered PPR Superflex league again, and it was Mahomes for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And to me, this is Mahomes pretty easily. Clyde Edwards-Helaire's ceiling is to maybe be like the 1.04. I don't see him creeping up into that Christian McCaffrey Saquon tier, where Mahomes can easily be that 1.01 in Superflex.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's to me like shout out to that old CEH owner who cashed out on this huge opportunity. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I like Barkley. Barkley is a top 3 dynasty pick to me, and I'd still take. I wouldn't give you Mahomes for Barkley. I wouldn't give you any running back for Mahomes.
Yeah, I
Is this
agree.
the
The
league you
only
were in?
Yeah, this is the league I was in. I didn't notice it until just a little while ago, and I saw that trade, and I was just like, dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the only reason I could see to trade Mahomes is for like someone say like a CMC is that you were absolutely already stacked at quarterback and you think that CMC can bring you a championship. But I do agree that value wise, CMC and Mahomes are like neck and neck, and it just depends on your preference.
I
I
agree. Yeah.
I still barely lean CMC over Mahomes, but after having a couple podcasts with like John Hogue or different people like that, just sort of
Mm-hmm.
trying to reevaluate my super flex and how I look at QBs because they are so important, and that's the reason my 14 team league that I was talking about before has to go into a rebuild. Is my QBs are garbage,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so you just have to blow it up, and I'm just hoping I have
For
enough.
Mahomes, I want like one of the less high acclaimed like rookie running backs right now, like any of the four that are directly below CEH and Matt Stafford. I want another quarterback back. There's no way I can't think of a situation that I'm in that I would trade Mahomes without getting a quarterback in. But I'm fine selling Mahomes, but yeah, I need a quarterback. I don't
Yeah,
care if it's Mitch Trubisky with CMC. I need a quarterback.
love it. So we're going to talk about a couple of questions related to Superflex Dynasty strategy. And so it'll just be 4 questions. So my first question is, do you typically draft to do more of like a win now, be in a productive struggle, or somewhere in between for your Superflex Dynasty drafts?
I love this question. So I'm always hoping to compete, and I never enjoy looking at my bad teams. So I'm always hoping to compete, and that's how I go into it. I also like if it's a new league with there may be a learning curve for anybody, and I look at that first year kind of to get to know your league mates, who's going to be active, who your good trade partners are. Um, so there is, I think there should always be a productive struggle, and I'm not even trying to cap out, but I like to have a certain amount of a revolving door between like age and the right guys to compete every year. I'm well aware, like some of my best teams that I'll go into, like even everybody's commenting on how scary my team is, and then you make the playoffs and you still get beat. And then some of my other teams that squeak in just barely, like it's a whole new game when you hit the playoffs. You can go to the playoffs as a 6th seed and still take home the ring. So for me, like I feel like I'm always in contention, like as far as making the playoffs or just being on that fringe. And um, I want a little bit of a revolving door. I want to live in the productive struggle as long as I can, and I want to keep kind of just turning it out. I want to split the stocks when I need to. I want to be aware of when I need to. I have enough depth to piece 2 or 3 players together to get McCaffrey because it's time, and I want to know when it's time to sell McCaffrey because I've got some issues here. I think that you always need to be looking for the next move, and it gets harder and harder with the amount of leagues I'm in. But I think you always need to be looking for the next move to maintain your league, so the productiveness isn't as much of a struggle.
Yeah, I completely agree that you need different types of leagues as well. Like
Yes.
you should have a league, maybe it's an orphan you pick up, but have some type of league where you're trying out a rebuild and then have another one where you're a contender. And if you just have those 2 dynasty leagues, you'll find the enjoyment so much higher because you can make different moves that
Mm-hmm.
are the complete opposite, but they help both of your teams.
Yeah. Yeah, and even different formats like help you look at your different teams a little differently as well. Or you might find a strategy that's all of a sudden working for you in one league, or maybe you're in a deeper dynasty and that ends up helping you be more aware of certain players in your redraft league. But I agree, man. Like different kind of leagues and different tactics. Like an orphan team, like I am blowing the orphan team up. Like every player, whether I like them or not, will be gone. I'll probably sell a little bit low. I'll probably also, like, if you have an orphan team, most cases you have a team that's full of players that whole league has wanted for a year. You're probably getting a team that was kind of inactive, and I mean, I've taken over orphan teams, and I have like trades in my inbox already. Like when I get in, and most of the times it's neglected. Like there's players on there, whether it's Tyler Boyd or somebody like that, that people have been trying to get from you, and so they're all of a sudden like you're the fresh meat. Like I like to take advantage of it. Like come at me, and I turn it over until it's literally all new players, and then that's when the team is mine, and I have fun with it, and I think you can take advantage of having being the fresh meat. Like let them come at you, but so
Yeah,
yeah, super fun.
yeah, I completely agree. Turning over a roster is great, and then also looking for, like you said, always be looking to make a move. And like one trade I always talk about, and I've literally mentioned it like 3 podcasts, is I sent 2023s for Tom Brady in a Superflex 12-team league, and little trades like that are gonna set your team apart. And it actually made it to where my team was able to go from rebuilding to more of like a 1 year retool, which was really neat.
Yeah, yeah.
So the next couple of topics are going to be about the off season, which is why most people love Dynasty. And the first one is, do you have a certain way you evaluate your Dynasty teams to see if you need to retool or go into a full rebuild?
Um, I mean, mostly for me, it's super flex. Like, so I'm always kind of making sure I have quarterbacks. You know, I have so much depth. Like, so part of my retool is just like having quarterbacks as my coin, and that way, if I am presented with a problem, maybe I lost Geis. Maybe I thought I lost Geis and Fournette in a couple of leagues all at the same time. You know, and then it puts me in an opportunity to where I have like 5 starting quarterbacks, and I can throw you Drew Lock for to take care of my needs. And that's another reason like I like to tool my teams that way. Like I live by the quarterback early and often. And a lot of that is it's not because I always want to have that quarterback depth forever. Like I want my comfort zone like probably is going to be down to 3 or 4 at some point. I don't like to go under 3 though, but I have so much in that area that I can throw it at you, and there's always somebody that's going to need a quarterback in your league, and you can take advantage of these opportunities. And yeah, so for me, it's kind of just that my quarterbacks help me get wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, whatever my need may be, and you can usually do pretty well.
Yeah, I always love throwing in a quarterback in a trade, especially if you have enough quarterbacks. Like there's one league I drafted 6 quarterbacks. There was another league where I had it 5 quarterbacks. And so you're able to put a quarterback into a trade and then you make it happen. And it looks nice because your team actually improves and your
Mm-hmm.
depth isn't hurt a ton. Like one trade I made this
Right.
offseason was Baker Mayfield for CeeDee Lamb in a 2021 first.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one I really liked. And then hopefully I have a league where I do have 6 starting quarterbacks. And so plan is whenever, you have a couple players retire or drop off, to trade at least a couple of them away to have 4 of the more top end guys on my team.
I didn't really answer that one right though, did I?
I mean,
Kind of.
I thought it was a good answer. Do you want to talk into how you evaluate your teams as well?
I mean, it is kind of just like that, you know, like just constantly looking at them and looking for your needs. I'm a pretty heavy running back guy outside of the quarterbacks. Like that's where I do differ with a lot of people. I like to have a strong young running back core, and um, I'm an ageist. I'm not as bad on wide receivers, but I'm a huge ageist when it comes to like quarterbacks and running backs. So I like to kind of cash out my stocks, I'll say, like while somebody's getting to that point where you kind of know, even though like a certain, we'll say Aaron Rodgers, even though you know you can get behind Aaron Rodgers in redraft, you know he's going to succeed for you, but you also know even while that success is happening that his price is slowly dropping. So you get to the point where I think you can, if you can get a little bit of extra for Aaron Rodgers now, like I'm selling out. Sorry, Mr. Hogue.
That was actually a point that a Dynasty Dad made on one of the more recent podcasts, and I didn't think about it because you think about players, you're like, oh, like their production is going to be there, but you also have to think about value in the sense of how the community as a whole is going to look at a player. Like once a running back hits 26, their value is going to drop no matter what. Even
Yeah.
if they're Ezekiel, even if they're Christian McCaffrey, it is going to drop. Once a tight end hits like 28, 29, it's going to drop. Wide receiver, like 28. Quarterback's probably like 30, 31. Pretty much once you see 3-0, the value drops even more.
Right. Yeah. And then, I mean, so then, like, kind of like I said about when I'm ready to pay up for McCaffrey, I will. But then the same thing for me, even being an ageist, like when I'm ready to pay up for Julio or when that price drop comes down a little bit now and you can give Terry McLaurin and a little bit extra or maybe even straight up to get Julio, I'm going to get Julio. And I'm putting that finishing piece to my team, even if it's for a couple more years.
I love that. So my last question, which you actually like semi-answered that you had a change of philosophy with this, is on keeping rookie draft picks versus trading them for known players. So do you look to keep your draft picks? Do you like to trade them for known players and use like Rookie Fever to your advantage, which you are on the Rookie Fever podcast?
So I think you can go both ways with it. And it even goes into one of those things, when you're going through that building process and evaluating your team. So I'll go back to that a little bit. And if you get halfway through the season and you just realize, like, man, I've been balancing like from 7th to 9th place all season. Like, I'm doing okay. Maybe I can squeeze in, but maybe I start evaluating this situation a little bit here and I sell some of these aged guys that I thought I was going to win it with this year. And then there's the flip side to it where if I'm kicking butt and I feel like maybe that first gets me one piece right now that I really need, I'm definitely willing to sell my first. Even like I said at the beginning, it's harder for me to part with them these days. But halfway through the season, like you have to look at your team and evaluate, and I think you can get some good returns for it first. Then now after the season, like we're done, I'm not trading my first to anybody. They're off limits. There's no point in it until the rookie draft, because even if you want that pick, what you're going to get once you hit the rookie draft is going to be more than the week before it. So at no point after the season am I giving you any of my picks until the rookie draft happens, and I'm either going to be happy to use them or I'm going to get somebody I feel better about. But once the season's over, there's no reason to move them.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's something that I messed up on in a couple of leagues is I moved my rookie picks a little bit too early. Like one example was like the 1.08 for like DK Metcalf or something like that. It wasn't that exact trade.
I don't hate that.
I know you're a Metcalf fan, so maybe Hollywood Brown. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a different player.
I wouldn't do that. Don't want your Hollywood.
He's someone that I'm growing on a little bit, but also if it's a PPR league,
it's a love-hate relationship, isn't it?
Isn't that with every player?
A little bit, yeah. I want Hollywood to succeed so bad. I just wonder like what's going to be available for him in that offense on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I think it's either going to be Andrews or Julio. Or goodness, I think it's going to be Andrews or Hollywood Brown that are going to explode. I don't think they both can maintain their high level of efficiency.
Yep, I'm with you. Lamar and Mahomes are the top fantasy quarterbacks for completely different reasons, and Mahomes just favors somebody like Tyreek more than I feel like Lamar will Hollywood.
Yeah, I agree right there. So I had a blast tonight, Shane. Do you have any projects or articles that you're currently working on?
Man, not really. Just the stuff you mentioned with, like doing the Super Flexible podcast, Rookie Fever, and then still trying to kick out some fantasy football breakdowns. And yeah, we might have some stuff coming up though. Yeah, for sure. Totally excited, man. I can't believe this is your episode 25. Like you're very fine tuned. Like this was a super easy show. Shout out to you, man. Like very just great sounding. Like this was a really easy show. Great host. I don't know. Yeah, good time, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a blast with the podcast. It was something that at first I kept being like, oh, I'm not going to do it. But whenever July hit, I was talking with someone and we were talking about making a podcast and they sort of fell off. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start my own podcast. Why not?
Man, good for you, dude. Good for you.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's going to be a little interesting in season trying to get guests to come on like Monday evening to try to record real quick to post on Tuesday. But it'll be fun.
Yeah,
It'll just talk to different people, and that's my favorite thing is honestly just chat with people that I've talked to on Twitter before, like yourself.
yeah, man. I appreciate you, dude. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Everyone, go and follow Swags on Twitter at Swagzilla0G or OG. Also, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review to the Snake in the Draft podcast. If you're listening to podcasts, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and let's be snakes this draft season.
Yeah, Jake the Snake.